So hypertrophia, how does it happen? Anyone know? Any medical students out there that know how and what is the mechanism of action of hypertrophia of whatever cells? Hypertrophia of muscle cells, hypertrophia of tendons, ligaments, bone marrow. Actually, the same way that you cause hypertrophy of bone marrow is the exact same way you cause hypertrophy of your brain. That's the same way that you grow new brain cells. That's the same way in Qigong, the method. So it just starts with proprioception. If we have to stick to Western, physiology, medical terms, I think it's good because people can look up what is proprioception. Very, very clear. But if you use words like awareness or ting or song, how do you look that up? It's in a different language, But it's proprioception. So that you can train proprioception in many different ways. You can use those boards that have a sphere in the middle that you have to balance on. But if you're doing it that way, actually, standing, it's much more difficult actually than that. Using a balance board and balancing on a balance board is much easier than actually, than actual Qigong training, because then you only have one. Pretty much your whole body just has to get into the right place and stay there, but you only have one, axis. You only have that one pivot point down there, and the rest pretty much just needs to get into the right position and then stay there. But it's not you can't really train the kind of agility that you otherwise would be able to just doing Qigong Tai Chi the way you're supposed to do it, So just like that pivot point, each joint has one of these pivot points. That's what you call a pearl. The first pearl is the one on the foot on the Yung Chuan point. And I just focus on that pearl and let things all sink into there. But to do that properly, you have to have all of the fascia balloons. Think of them like that because that's what they are. They're balloons that can inflate and deflate, and they're kind of a long, like a blown up condom. Is what they look like. A membrane that encloses the each section, and within each section there's other tendons and other muscles that are also enclosed in one of those sheaths, and it kind of goes deeper and deeper until you get to the nerves running through. So each of those balloons has to be balanced perfectly on top of the other one. You can think of just like if you had one balloon full of air, how difficult would it be to balance an object on top, to balance it there? You can't just leave it there, otherwise it'll fall off. So you have to very, very, very lightly hold it in place, not on the top, holding it on top, but on the sides you hold it like that, and that's exactly how you are holding your center of gravity. You're just using a very, very small amount of force to hold your center of gravity in place so that all of those fascia balloons are stacked on top of each other. And then we just focus the weight through the center of each balloon stacked on top, and using a little bit of force to keep them there. And then what will happen is the muscles will hang off the bones, but the bones will will basically float, will almost like levitate inside the body, because they are like a weight just on top of the balloon, held in place by a very small amount of force by the muscles on the outside. And this is why you have to let the chi sink down, because if there's chi coming up, it's equivalent to holding the weight on top of the balloon, like just placing it on there, not letting it go. You have to let it go completely. Just use a little bit of contact, even not even force, just contact with the gravity going down, and just holding it in place there. And then focus it down into the Yongchuan point, and then it will inflate that pearl beneath your foot. You'll feel all of the fascia and the sheaths of the foot start to expand. The bones of the foot start to expand. And then from that one, just feel the center of gravity there. Feel that balloon stacked there, and then move up to the knees, and then balance these ones on top of those ones. Find the center of gravity, keep the hip bent, and then be aware of all the fascia sheaths around there, the balloons inflating there, let them inflate. And then up to the neck, let the neck sink down through the heart, most difficult place to relax. And just using a bare amount of force, just contact outside of on the edge of the mass, which is on top of our stack of balloons, and just the bare minimum. So what happens is that the center of gravity is going in one line, very down the center of each stack of balloons, and down the bottom. And then what is happening is each one is having some expansion going out, because it's being pushed down and the expansion is going out, and it's also going up. So we'll feel the whole thing rising up through the body to the top of the head. Experiment with some different heights. If you're doing this for the first time, it might not be easy to see how it is that you keep this very a very straight vertical structure. The tailbone is just falling down, as if this tailbone is just falling off the body, which happens when you have that stack in the center. The tailbone will just fall down like that, and the chin will naturally come in, because you're focusing, you're generating that central column of flow going down, and when everything hangs off that, that will just happen naturally. You don't need to force yourself up. Just use those contact of the muscles outside of the cylinder to keep the weight balanced on top of this whole stack, and to keep all the stack of fascia membrane balloons on top of each other. So that's really the feeling. Is you're just using the bare minimum amount of of contact on the outside of this weight, your mass, which you have stacked, which you have on top of all of these balloons which you're keeping in place, these fascia balloons, that is pushing down, bouncing back up again, expanding outwards, and you're just using a bare minimum amount of force to do it. So when you do that, you actually feel quite free. You actually feel very, very free, because you're just that way. You're using that kind of a sense that I believe it's derived from the hearing. If you take your ears, it might be a little bit more difficult, but you can still feel that sense coming through your skin and centering you in time and space.